In this video, I'm going to show you how to distribute a survey using Qualtrics. And so you can see here that I have my instrument all ready to go in Qualtrics, and I'm ready to send it out. So what I'm going to do is go up here to the Distributions tab and click that. And the first time that you go to the Distributions tab, you're going to see basically the same options. It's just going to look a little different. And then there are several ways that you can distribute a survey through Qualtrics. So you can use the anonymous link where you just get a standard link that you can circulate or distribute however you choose. There's personal links where you can generate a set of individual links that then you can distribute through another means that you want, such as like perhaps a mail merge using Outlook or something like that. You can get social media links, QR codes that you could post up and people can just scan with their phone to take the survey or anything like that. What I'm going to show you is how to use email to distribute your survey, since that's most commonly going to be the medium used to deliver surveys. So once we've selected the email tab, we can see that we can compose an email. You can either click it up here on the right, or you can just click here in the middle. Since there are no emails or anything scheduled, you're going to see this button right here, but once we schedule something, this is going to go away, and then the only way to add a new one is going to be up here, or there'll be another option that shows up. Anyway, so what we need to do is tell Qualtrics what we want to be sent out. So the first thing that we need to do is select our contacts. So you have to have a contact list already loaded into Qualtrics to be able to use this. And again, the contact list is going to be the set of people or institutions, but there are going to be names, first names, last names, and emails. Those are the required elements of a contact list. Please see one of my other videos for information on how to set up a contact list. And so I'm just going to select one here. So I'm going to click this drop-down menu. It comes up with my contact list library. Then I can highlight this part of the menu, scroll over here, and then highlight this. And then from here, I can either select individual people that are on the contact list, or I can just click here and select the entire contact list, which is going to be what's most common. And then up here, the two, you'll see it changes to the name of the contact list, and then the number of people that are in the contact list. Up here, then is the header information is what this is called. So the name that shows up in someone's inbox of who this is coming from, the email, the email address that's used for replies. And then this over here is the sending email address by default. The emails all get routed through a Qualtrics email server. So if you have a large project going on, a large survey, this is something that you might want to double check and make sure that whoever you're sending to doesn't have a spam filter or a junk folder filter or something like that that would filter out any email coming from this particular address. Then down here is where you can schedule the delivery of your email. So you can send now, there are these standard ones, or you can click custom and you can pick whichever day and whichever time you might want. In my case, I'm just going to click now, and then then you just type in a subject line. Okay. So the next thing to do is I've got some text ready to go. If you are sending kind of a standard or boilerplate kind of message, then you can have all of that stored in your message library, which might be handy. In our case, we're just going to post in or paste in something that I typed up separately. So now we've got the body of our email ready to go. The next thing that I want to do, though, is I want to make it a little bit more personal, so I want to be able to add someone's first name or the first name of the recipient. And so I'm going to do that by using piped text. And at this stage, the way that we need to add this piped text is by going to the contacts field. So this is a little different than how we use this information when we're piping text into the body of the survey, into specific questions. And the reason for that is because of the way that this is all generated. So at this point, the data, everything comes from the contacts field, or so the contacts list. So we're going to use recipient first name here. But then once someone enters the survey using an individualized link, then the contact's information becomes embedded data. It's just that at this point, there's no embedded data because the person has not interacted with the survey. So that's why we use the contacts field here when you're in emails and not the embedded data field like we use in the actual instrument. So I'm just going to click first name, and then you'll see the code pop up right here. And so that means it's going to say hello, whatever the person's first name is. And then this is just the body of the email. Then you can see there's some of these by default, some things that are just piped in here. So this is the survey link that is clickable that a person will see, or there's this right here, which just shows the URL or the web address of where your survey instrument lives, and so that someone can easily copy and paste that into a web browser. And then by default, there's also this down here, which is an opt-out link, and this is something that you have to include. Qualtrics essentially makes you include an opt-out link, and so that's why that's there, and it's why it's not worth really trying to get rid of. Another thing that's kind of actually nice about the opt-out link is if someone clicks that, then that is recorded in your contact list. So at the end of your survey, whenever it closes, and you want to say, take a look at your response rate, you will be able to, in your contact list, make a distinction between, or your distribution history, which I will show you shortly. You'll be able to make a distinction between people who just didn't take the survey, didn't click, didn't do anything, didn't interact with your survey at all, and those who clicked opt-out, because you might want to consider them somewhat differently when you're calculating response rates. So now that we've got this all set up, the last thing to do is just click down here, show advanced options. So there are different link types. You'll see 3. So individual is generally the default, and so what that means is that there is one link for each person in the contact list, and then that link is used to associate a response with a line in the contact list. One thing about individual links is it allows for one completion by default, which means that if the person were to respond to the survey and try to use that link again, they're going to get something saying, like a message saying that their response has already been recorded. You can set it up so that it's anonymous, and what that does is, instead of associating a different link or generating a different link for each person in your contact list and then associating it with an individual contact, it just generates one link and uses that to distribute to everyone. So if you wanted to send an anonymous survey, this is one way to do that, because then it's just everyone gets the same link. What I'm going to choose for this option is multiple completes, because for the purpose that I've got going on here, I want people to be able to respond and then in a week or so go back, respond again for a couple days, or whatever it is. So that's why I'm going to use the multiple completes option. So then what I'm going to do is I'm ready to go. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to schedule this to send, and then click send. And then you'll see this pop up right here. And then since it's not sent yet, we can't see any other information, but once it sends, you'll see the status of how many emails are sent and things like that over here. Then by clicking this, we can, if you want to edit the message, just click edit distribution, and it'll bring us right back here. Also, if you need to delete a distribution, you just want to delete it from here. It's not going to cancel emails that may have been sent, but it's just going to remove it from what you see before us here. But then download history. So this is something that can be really useful. Again, at the end of the survey, when you are trying to gauge a response rate. And what you can do is it will download the list of contacts that you use to distribute the survey and what happened. Meaning, was the email delivered? Was a response given? Or did the email fail? And so that can be really helpful looking at failed emails to give you a sense of your response rate. Because if an email failed, then you might not want to count them in your denominator to count against your response rate. So what I'm going to do here actually is I'm going to change this to an individual link really quickly so that we can see these two options here, because with the multiple completes option or with the anonymous option, you cannot schedule thank yous or reminders. And so I'll show you how to schedule a reminder really quickly. It's very simple. You just click schedule reminder and you do the same thing. You type in, any information here that you might want to change, you schedule it, you have a subject line, you type in whatever body of the email that you want. But what you'll see is up here in the to part of the header, it says unfinished respondents. So what is nice about that is it will only send the reminder email to people who have not completed a response or not submitted a response yet. And so that's really nice, especially if you have a longer administration window. You can just schedule all of your reminders whenever you want them to go out, all in advance, and they will all automatically only go to people who have not yet submitted a response. And so that is how we distribute surveys in Qualtrics.